Is just better in every way. When we look at stats, monstrous attack, 165, third highest base stat total in the game for attack, and that's just amazing right there. Look at its other stats, not the best, you know, the speed's not too crazy, we're not worried about special attack when you have an attack that high, and the defenses are going to make it to where you might not get blown up immediately. Look at its typing, it's a pure ghost type Pokemon, which means that's only going to be weak against ghost and dark, have those immunities to normal and fighting, and then be resistant to poison and bug. Pretty standard stuff, pretty easy to know, and it's just good for the typing itself that you don't have to worry about too much besides itself and dark, and it's not the most common things in the world. Stopping in the Pokemon Showdown, we can see that Mega Banette, you're just going to pretty much want to run max hit points, max attack. Why, you may ask? Because of the Prankster ability. Status moves have their priority increased by 1, which means if you're playing Banette right, you're pretty much not getting hit that often. That Will-O-Wisp is going to make it to where you're going to be able to burn your target before they get to attack you in most situations, and that's going to be very strong for just making you even tankier. After that, you have Sucker Punch, which usually goes first if they're throwing out attack, Phantom Force, which makes you disappear for a turn, and Destiny Bond. Prankster Destiny Bond, guys. That's all you really need to know about it. That what you can do with Mega Banette is really set up two somewhat easy KOs. Will-O-Wisp them if they're a physical attacker, Phantom Force Sucker Punch them into pretty much oblivion, and then after that, pick them up with a quick Prankster Destiny Bond, and you're good to go from there. But wait, Prankster's one of the best abilities in the game, and why not just give Skill Swap to Banette? You know, Skill Swap in doubles will give you Prankster on any Pokemon, which is why Slacking is sitting here. That you can pretty much go bulk up and then slack off, and you're good to go from there because you're removing the Truant ability, which means Slacking gets to attack every turn, and it gets to stat up before the turn has even begun pretty much, which means you can like go hard into the special defense and hit points, and then just get your attack boosted up really well, and have a good amount of sustain. Just food for thought right there. A lot of other Pokemon can benefit from Skill Swap, like any Pokemon using status, any tanky Pokemon trying to set up is really going to love that Prankster ability. And then with this, I was just thinking like in doubles, you can really become a huge threat. That Taunt, you have Priority Taunt, Priority Confuse Ray, Priority Will-O-Wisp, so you're really shutting down your opponents, and you're going to make it hard for them to attack, set up, or really do much of anything, while being a fairly strong tank. That Calm Nature, going to boost your special defense really well, or careful, depending on which Banette you're running, and then also high amount of defense, and hit points, you're going to be pretty solid. Other things that Banette can run are Protect and Knock Off. Now, since you are Mega Evolving on that first turn, you're not going to have Prankster, so you're still going to be slow and vulnerable, which means you might just want to, you know, take off a moveset here. Like, you can take off Phantom Force, still become very strong. You can take off Will-O-Wisp, something like that, and then just run Protect. That, with the Protect, it's going to be pretty solid, and you're still going to be good to go. Phantom Force is really just there because it's huge stab, they can't out-protect it, and it's going to be very strong, but other than that, you know, you can still just run Will-O-Wisp into Sucker Punch, still secure that KO, then go into the Destiny Bond that you need, and then Knock Off. You can run the other nature here, you can go Careful, just go lower your special attack instead of your attack, and then maybe put down Knock Off instead of relying on the Confusion, and now you still have a good amount of damage, because very high attack, even unboosted, 366, unboosted attack. Most Pokemon with full EVs and a beneficial nature don't even get that high, which is really ridiculous to think about. Now you just go knock them off, do some damage, remove that item, you still have Taunt, Will-O-Wisp threat, while making the real scary Pokemon set up with Skill Swap. So that's really all there is to Mega Banette, that because of the Prankster, it really just outclasses Banette physically and defensively, as well as status-wise and support-wise. So it's really just going to be Mega Banette if you want to use Banette. The same things can apply, they're just going to be a lot more frail. So it's just better to run Mega Banette. And that's kind of all there is to it. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and that's how you use Banette.
Deerling gets Headbutt as an egg move in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and I know exactly what I'm doing with it. So let's go and find the Choice Scarf, put that right there, give it the Headbutt ability. Ooh, Sawsbuck gets that Serene Grace. Let me check one more thing, and done. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That is how you use Sawsbuck in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Wait, no, we gotta put a little bit more effort into it. Okay, what did I do for Sawsbuck back in my how to use it? Actually, Sawsbuck is pretty good overall. I gave it the OP stamp of approval, so now it has just a little bit extra to do, and you can kind of modify your moveset a bit more. So one of the main things about running Sawsbuck that just kind of works out is that you could either go for Swords Dance into just kind of outspeeding as much as possible and doing insane amounts of damage, or if you can find a way to thread in an agility, you're going to be able to get a lot of outspeed, you can get a little bit of bulk, and then you're just going to be good to go overall. So let's actually take that approach with this Sawsbuck right here, that you can run Choice Scarf, Headbutt, do a moderate amount of damage, like 100 attack isn't great, Headbutt's base power isn't great, but I mean 30% chance flinch, doubled into 60. It's like running the Togekiss, and it has, you're sacrificing damage for a bit more speed, and it can kind of work out, so it's just one of those weird things. You're running a Scarf, Serene Grace, Flinchmon, and after that you can get a little bit of like extra moveset stuff out of it, but it brings up another weird point about the Sawsbuck. Also, when we look at its typing, fighting, flying, poison, bug, fire, and ice, those are going to be all your weaknesses, with the immunity to ghost, and then the resistances are going to be the same as grass. But yeah, when like looking at the Sawsbuck, what are you going to do? Where's that Serene Grace supposed to kick in and come into play? I mean, I guess Energy Ball, you're getting a little bit extra chance to like drop the opponent's special defense or something. Same with like the Shadow Ball. It's like the special Sawsbuck gets a lot of buff right there. But overall, there wasn't really much going for it. So the idea was your Sap Sipper. You bring it in on a grass type move, Sap Sipper eats it up. Now you have a bit more powerful Pokemon, and hopefully that actually does something for you. But when we start comparing the stats, so Choice Scarf on a non-invested, or like, okay, Choice Scarf on a neutral speed nature is actually going to let you outspeed up to 100, actually it lets you outspeed over 145 base speed Pokemon, so you end up with 220 speed at level 50 with the Choice Scarf, and then that means you're going to be faster than the Togekiss, who would have to go Timid nature, so as you can see right here, 145, Timid Scarf Togekiss is going to not have as much speed as the 147 on the Sawsbuck. However, the damage is going to be less as well, 167 compared to the 172. But I mean, it's like very small ranges, and even then, when you're using Togekiss, the Air Slash isn't going to be the most damage ever either, and it does get coverage though, so you're able to hit grass type super effective. So you're able to get those super effective hits with the Air Slash that Sawsbuck doesn't have because Headbutt just hits everything neutral. Also, you can get just stopped by ghost type Pokemon completely. Rock and Steel type still give you a problem, much like with the Air Slash. So it's not going to be as effective of a use case, but I mean, it's still just an extra Serene Grace Mon that you can carry, and then Sawsbuck does have those other options. Now, if you're not running the Choice Scarf, that's where we kind of get back into the other idea of the guide. What you could do is just run Agility instead. Take away all the speed investment, put it like all in the hit points, or you can go with like a weird defensive mix spread where you can survive some physical hits from something like the Guard Chomp a little better, and then turn it around, and then you're good to go right there. So Agility can be very powerful if you end up getting that setup, because now our speed is going to double to 230, so we're going to get more than if we had the Scarf. We're going to have the freedom, we just have to eat that extra hit, and that's kind of like where you take the risk. You know, do you want to go for the Confusion Berry, anticipating a 75-80% damaging move, then you get 50% of your health back while you're sitting on that Agility? That could be very powerful right there. Or you just want to go with the Citrus Berry. That way it's like you take a moderate hit, survive, Citrus Berry activates, and now you might have one extra hit in you while you're running the Headbutt, and then you have that Agility behind you with your maxed attack, and then you can run something like the Horn Leech and then Jump Kick. But that was one thing surprising about the Sawsbuck, that you could run like Double Edge for like a massive neutral hitting nuke, and then you had Grass and Fighting as coverage. It just kind of worked out in a pretty decent way, but also there's another thing you can do, and this is if you really want to get carried away just for that Sawsbuck sweep. We have the Swords Dance. Now we're going to go into damage calculations in a bit, but Headbutt isn't two-shotting anything, unfortunately. So even with the Swords Dance, it's like you're going to do a massive hit. They only have a 40% chance to move that turn, and then if they do, well, the Swords Dance kind of didn't work, but if you're going for the late game, it could be worth the risk. So there are some drawbacks there they can deal with. And then also if you Swords Dance, the best thing about it is now you have Agility Swords Dance into a Horn Leech. So this is where you can start converting more damage while getting that sustain back in your favor, surviving hits by outspeeding, healing, surviving, outspeed, healing, surviving, and then Sawsbuck can maybe get away with that. Also, if you just want to be just straightforward, max hit points, max attack, that can work on the Sawsbuck as well. So we got our Togekiss comparison out of the way, and then I did want to take a look at all of these Serene Grace Pokemon that can effectively utilize a flinch, which was pretty much only Togekiss, and now Sawsbuck can join those ranks, because Chansey, it's too slow. Dunsparce, it's too slow. They can both use Rock Slide, which is devastating in doubles, but unless you're doing like Trick Room strats, it's not really going to be a thing. It's not like the singles lockdown Pokemon. Now we do have Jirachi and we do have Shaman, but that's going to be more in the realm of like forbidden Pokemon. Yeah, so it's like, okay, we get a little bit extra of an option with that Sawsbuck. Now, another interesting thing about the Sawsbuck is that it gets access to the Thunder Wave, and it even has Synthesis. So really, what you could make it is a less tanky, more weakness Togekiss for the Paraflinch. Like that's also one of the really good things about running Scarf Togekiss, is that you can eat a super effective hit from a surprising amount of Pokemon. You know, Rock Slide here, Ice Beam there, Thunderbolt there. So that means if you don't get the flinch on the Air Slash, Togekiss will bail you out. It will survive it like a hero, like a true champion, have slightly more damage as well as more coverage. And then there's also just like the super frustrating just para flinch. You come in with the Air Slash, you come in with the Thunder Wave, you have the Roost, and then you're just the most frustrating thing to deal with ever, and that is another possibility with the Togekiss. Sawsbuck, it kind of does that, but it's definitely not as tanky, and you're not, like, and then you still have some of the other drawbacks. However, it is something you can run. Now, if you see a Sawsbuck, that means the opponent's crazy. This is someone that really loves Sawsbuck. This is someone that really loves playing ultimate cheese Pokemon strats, and because of that, it means that you just need to fear Sawsbuck a bit more. Know that it could be up to some pretty cheeky shenanigans in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. So without this video, you'd be like, oh, it's a Sawsbuck, what's it gonna do? And then you just get Scarf flinched like 4 times, and then it might not win games like Togekiss,